of two daughters. I currently have an 11-year-old and a 9-year-old, although they keep changing ages. The 11-year-old started having problems in school when she was about 7. At that time she was going to an English state school. I moved across to Holland, where the teaching is very different. It's much more hands-on, much more creative, a lot less emphasis on actually writing and reading at that age, and much more on learning about yourself and learning how to learn. In the Dutch school system she didn't have any problems at all. We came back to the UK about 2 years later and almost straight away went straight into problems. At that time we hadn't really thought of dyslexia in any way, and all the teachers were saying that it was because of her problems with the Dutch alphabet. The way the vowels were pronounced so differently than the English alphabet was all that was causing her problems. All teachers say she's very articulate, she has a good grammar range, so we couldn't really understand why she was having so many problems, and particularly in English. But then it started to be in maths as well. She moved schools a couple of times in an attempt to find teachers that would help her, and it was as we were applying to attend another school that one of the schools gave her a dyslexia test, and as the person put it who was marking the test, she was entirely off the scale. I'm not quite sure what that means, but finally it was some explanation how a child I knew to be intelligent and articulate and very lively was just having massive problems in school. In school we paid for extra help because there was just no help built into the schoolwork or the curriculum at all for anybody who had a different learning style. And the more I learned about dyslexia, the more I figured that actually it's not a different learning style, it is a learning style, and no two children are really the same. But that the methods that work with my daughter actually work with most kids. Some of the things are just having sensible rules and making sure that those rules are adhered to. So, really working out what the nuts and bolts of a problem is before you try and draw conclusions from it. My daughter has lots of problems when teachers sort of give vaguely conflicting rules, whether it's English language, English spelling, how to attack a maths problem. In trying to deal with how to attack a problem, she's told one way is right by one person, another way by another person, and can't really melt that together. In the process of then dealing with my eldest daughter and taking her through things, my youngest daughter turned 8, and more or less at the time she turned 8, her beautiful copper plate handwriting, which I've since learned is a beautiful drawing of words, became writing. And once it became writing, it's very nearly illegible. Again, another bright, articulate child starting to have problems at school because the school day had turned from learning about yourself and learning about your environment to everything being surrounded with just words, and this then started to hold it back. Individual teachers may be sympathetic and may be helpful, but when it really comes to a class, they're just really too busy, and they're really too busy to do it right. So they're too busy to help one child, they're too busy to help all children, really. The school system really, I think, doesn't help children learn, and the people who suffer the most are dyslexics, because there are sensible methods where they can learn stuff by, and there just isn't the time to do that in a full class. Both my girls do pretty well outside school. They'll even pick up a recipe book meant for adults and muddle their way through it and end up with something which more or less looks like what's in the picture and tastes good too. But put them in school at a grammar test and it all falls apart. Schools really probably ought to pay more attention to how kids learn and less about what they want them to learn, and that will probably help a bit.